can safely say that this has by far been one of the more exciting World Cups in, well, World Cup history. With the amount of teams that are added, with the amount of unique matchups that have been added, we have been able to create some really, really good teams in this tournament. We've been able to see some great soccer. That wasn't necessarily what we thought, what some people thought coming into it. Um, yeah, but it certainly did not start out as quote unquote exciting as as people thought, because this first one got its whole day entire to it. There was only one match, and it was Canada versus South Africa, and it was very, very, very meh. With all the other matches, there's like crazy goals and all that. And while it was a 90-second minute winner, it was very for the first 90 minutes of this match. South Africa was kind of just sitting with the ball and doing nothing, like for the entire match. Canada was trying and failing to capitalize on its big chances. 5 combined corners, can't even get past 85% completed passes. It was not a fun game to watch, but it was fun for Canadians as they were able to get their first ever knockout win. It's the first time that they've made it past the group stage, but also it's not their first ever knockout win. And it doesn't matter who it's against. For Canada, it was certainly a momentous day that they can actually make the real round of 16, and have also, again, won a game. Now, obviously, this FIFA ranking of 60 is kind of a lie for South Africa. I think South Africa is better than that. It's kind of the same thing with Ghana, where, the FIFA ranking is kind of lower because their continental thing is just, everything just dies for them for some reason. But hey, they showed up at the World Cup. But obviously, South Africa will be back. I think. I don't know. It really just depends on how easy it will be. Is there going to be a 64 team tournament for some fucking reason, or are we staying with the 48 team format like we should? Just a lot of things that'll go into South Africa's next qualification, but they should be back. They're one of the better African teams, no matter what this says. Canada should also probably be back. They're one of the better CONCACAF teams. Now that there's 6 spots, it basically almost guarantees them a spot into it. So, obviously, it doesn't matter, though. They will be moving on to the round of 16. But the next matchup, they don't have to deal with. So, the next match was the first real kind of shocker to this. Brazil came into this game and looked I mean, they had more XG in possession, but they weren't doing jack shit with it. And Japan just came in off of a, just random thing, and they just scored. And everyone's like, oh shit, Japan might actually do it. But in the history of Japan, they are never known for being able to live up to the billing in these knockout stages. And that's kind of where the second half turned into. You gave up a goal to Casemiro to you really let Martinelli score in the 90 plus 5th minute after Casemiro had to go off with injury. Japan, like some other teams, choked in this tournament, and they choked pretty hard. I mean, obviously the momentum graph says that Brazil should have won it, but they put themselves in, and then they just stepped out. Now, for Brazil, this is definitely not the result that you want per se. you don't necessarily want to go flat against Japan because that's I mean, it's a litmus test, and they certainly passed it, but and no one's really that, like, ooh, Brazil is back. No, they're just like, at least they won. I mean, they still, like, the match stats says that they should have won. I mean, Japan just looked lost in the second half, but that's just how Japan has been for, knockouts or whatever. Just, you know, just play better next time, I guess, Brazil. Yeah, at least move on. So, yeah, as for Japan, Lamau. On to the next match where we have the actual upset of the entire tournament so far, and it is Germany shitting itself once again, losing in the round of 32 on penalties to the third place team. The first ever third place team in a 48 team tournament format to have ever made it out. Not first ever, since there was a time with 24 teams, but a team that would have not qualified under the 32 team format. I think, at least, I think they were 5th or 6th or something. I don't remember. They somehow beat Germany. Now, last 2 tournaments for Germany, they didn't even make it out of the group stage, but this time they did with actual flying colors. But this time, not great. You give up a first half goal in a first half in which it really is dead even, despite the 79% possession. Paraguay was just able to get the better shots, but in the second half you look much better. You impose yourself more. You get the goal from Kai Havertz, and then you're just not able to get a goal for the rest of the match. Both coaches get yellows. A lot of late yellows here, and an attempt to get somewhere. I think there might have been at some point a penalty shout in here, but didn't really matter. Then Germany goes in. Kai Havertz comes in, whiffs. Just misses. It's not great. And then Paraguay kind of just makes 3. They miss again. Then Paraguay miss. They make theirs. Paraguay misses. But then fucking Todd just... I know there was something going on with the Germans or whatever. They, nobody wanted to take the 6th penalty or whatever. And he has, never taken a fucking professional penalty in his life or whatever. And then Paraguay's just able to slap it home. And you're just like... Oh, once again, Germany it's been almost 16 years since Germany has ever made it to the round of 16. And this time it hurts, especially if we get into further results. Paraguay is really the only competent third place team by far. You'll know what that is. But Germany, with a lineup consisting of players that play... Real Madrid, Arsenal, Premier League, top tier Bundesliga, La Liga talent, can't beat a team that is employing a literal terrorist and a 4-4 fucking 2. You're rolling out with a 4-4 fucking 2 with that. Whatever. I mean, obviously, that was just going to create a 1-1. I mean, how shocking is that? But Germany needs to heavily rethink their options on, how everything is. I don't know what you do besides fire the coach and see what else happens, but I feel like they've missed out on so many opportunities to actually do something, especially when they have the team that, again, the United States beat 4-1 on opening day, and we know that opening days apparently mean something. I don't know, it doesn't mean shit. Yeah, it's just Paraguay, eh? Well, Okay, you want to treat it like that? Cool. But the next match is something that it was a pretty heavyweight matchup between Netherlands and Morocco. I mean, shit, look at the FIFA rankings here, 8v7. Morocco has had a very tough time in this World Cup. Their first game was against fucking Brazil, a team that is only ranked one higher than them. And then they aren't able to score enough goals after a draw to make it a tie, so they have to play the Netherlands. But they go out and it just that there's like nothing in the first half. Both teams are kind of just playing passively. The second half, Netherlands just gets a very odd goal. Cody Gakpo, you love to see it. Just kind of everyone's like, wow, okay, Netherlands finally scored. Is this kind of where the Morocco dream ends? But, this is kind of where, Morocco was like, hey, I've actually, done things, and extra time after they scored in the 90 plus first minute, which I'm talking about leaving it late. And the Netherlands kind of just switched off. I mean, you can fucking tell that they were playing for pens when they have a 17% possession. Mind you, that is a number that, like in the FA Cup, seventh tier sides don't even get to in a full 45. You did that against Morocco, and it was a miracle that Morocco did not score in that in that extra time. It's a miracle that they did not score. And, Netherlands thought, okay, well, maybe we can do some. Koop Miners hits it, but then Morocco misses. But then fucking the Netherlands just, make like three straight makes. Okay, we're back to normal. But then three straight misses. This one was to, was this one to win the game? No, it wasn't. No, yes, it was. It was to literally to win the game. Fucking just hits the post, and it's like one of those where it just and just rejects straight backwards. It's just like, how do you? Not. I don't. None of those multiple post hits. It was one of the worst penalty shootouts I have ever seen. I feel like whenever, if Union Omaha ever gets into one of those penalty shootouts in the USL Cup, I feel like they could pull off a better performance than that. Because, just get the fucking thing on target. Make the goalie work for it. My lord. I mean, some of those goalies jump early. I don't know what the hell was going on, but Morocco moves on. They are desperate to make sure that they can repeat what they did last time, to show that they can do something. And yeah, it's a very unfortunate draw for the Netherlands. But when you again play like this in extra time, I feel like you just don't deserve it. I feel like you just don't deserve it. If you're really playing for a draw, for penalties, and then you miss three penalties, you deserve that result. The Dutch are also gonna have a lot of things to think about. But Morocco, good job, you did it. Not a lot of people are still on your side though after the email incident, but whatever. But now we head to this. Now in FIFA rankings, you look and you're like, okay, 33-31, relatively even matchup, but in reality, Norway have Erling Haaland, and that should have been enough. But, Ivory Coast did a good job in keeping this game relatively in. First half, the first half they were a little more competitive. The second half, they were able to score. But then, just make some subs. They run in with the second, make a sub, run in with the second goal. Ivory Coast just shit, I don't remember. Was this the one? No, that was a different one. Ivory Coast, obviously, it's pretty brutal that they get a Norway. a Norway for second place. Like, mind you, Norway threw their last game against France. Or speaking of them, to play them, and it's just like, you really you feel for Ivory Coast, but it's like, I mean, you score, you score, and then just Erling Hollands it into the goal. It's unfortunate, but you know, what are you gonna do? Norway definitely happy to have not played a giant of the game. France and all. Yeah, just brute force, eh? But yeah, the next match is also going to be a little bit of a wash. Sweden didn't necessarily deserve to be in the World Cup in the first place. They finished last in their World Cup qualifying. They got a grand total of 2 points in their World Cup qualifying. Then got to the European playoffs because of the Nations League, and then shithouse 2 games to make the World Cup. Then got 4 points, and then promptly shit themselves against France. And I know, I know, it's France, but also, ugh. It's France, but I mean, the first half was a lot more even, but then they just piled on the pressure in the second half. Got 2 goals. Were able to basically sub off all their good players, while Sweden was just not really there. I mean, obviously it's considering how qualifying went and all that, Sweden is just kind of happy to be here, but. Yeah, if you just didn't finish third, you would have had probably not France. Especially since a lot of the bigger teams did get first in their groups, so you were less likely to play one of them unless you were in the second place that plays it first. All that stuff. But just very, very unfortunate for Sweden. But as for France. Doesn't really feel like, it just feels like a tune-up game for their next one, which would have been against Germany, but Paraguay decided to delete all hope of that. So, so have fun. I guess Paraguay. I mean, you beat Germany, so maybe you got a number on France. Who am I kidding? The fucking France is infinitely better than Germany. But then on to the second host nation. What the hell was that? Second host nation to play a match. This time they're actually in the stadium because remember Canada had to go down to the United States because they didn't finish first. But Mexico certainly did. And they shut down Ecuador, which isn't hard because Ecuador is not necessarily about offense, but what they did shut down was Ecuador's ability to defense in the first half. Because I mean, it doesn't look too different here, but this just absolutely killed them. This definitely was the deciding factor. Was they just piled on the pressure early, and then we're just kind of able to coast throughout the rest of the game. Red card here for the covering the mouth incident once again. This probably was just mostly so he can hit the showers early. It didn't really have an impact on the game. So that certainly happens, I guess. For Mexico, that is it's another great performance in their Azteca. Just unfortunate draw for Ecuador. Mexico definitely is trying to break the fact that they just can't win knockout games. This is definitely a start, and I just hope that they're able to actually continue. Just because if you at least win the 2 games at the Azteca, it puts in the fear, especially if this probably is the last. That game will be the last World Cup game. So Okay. Yeah, Mexico definitely desperately needed this for reasons. As for Ecuador, you just really wish your defense just didn't fall apart. Like, what the hell, guys? That was not a conducive performance for playing this sport, and they definitely paid the price for it. And maybe next time you go work in the shop, try and find a attacker of some sort, and I don't know, maybe you just move on from there. But yeah, tough days for Ecuador. But I don't know. I guess it could be worse. Could lose 3-0 to France or something. I don't know. But Mexico's next opponent will be decided through the next match, which is England versus DR Congo. Now England has, the reputation of being massive chokers, and it certainly looked like they might actually choke once again when they give up a 7th-minute goal to DR Congo. DR Congo, like, I mean, DR Congo are just, they got in through the Intercontinental Playoff, which means that they didn't even win their group in World Cup qualifying. They had to go through 2 extra stages, which only really featured 3 games, but they were three pretty tough games. And you give up a goal here. It took, mind you, it took this team 100 minutes to score against England B, also known as Jamaica, to get into the World Cup. It took them like 100 minutes to score. All right, it took them seven in this match. And you look at like the first half, and you're just like, okay, well, DR Congo is like actually producing a shit ton. Like how the hell is England not scoring here? The second half, DR Congo made the mistake of kind of just going in a defensive ball, and that cost them dearly with a Harry Kane brace. So, once again, saving the country from certain death. And yeah, it just was not like you had the momentum all game. I don't understand why it took you that long. England, what the fuck are you doing? It's not, especially when your next match is Mexico in the Estadio Azteca. In the fucking Azteca. That's your next match. You better be ready for it. Alright, they've only lost 2 matches there? Total in its entire history? Mind you, that thing is old. That thing is not going to survive to 2038 when this shit probably comes back here. Alright? What? You either gotta, beat them and show that they just can't beat European teams or something in that context, or you're just gonna have to suffer for another 4 years. So I don't know. England should be performing way better with this kind of talent when they're going up against guys that are competing in the French leagues, the Belgian leagues. Nah, I think they're a little better than the Belgian leagues, but definitely not at the level that these guys are. How the hell do you pull up with a 5.6 when you give up 1 goal? Jeez. Very, very bad performance from England. As for DR Congo, I mean, at least you don't have the worst choke by an African team. It's just, you really wish that they could hold on, but it there's a different leagues principle, of course, and sometimes that is actually implemented. In this game, it certainly was implemented, and I just feel bad for DR Congo, especially with their whole the whole Ebola. I really hope that doesn't happen. Ebola outbreak that's happening over there, and their country is trying to shut down pretty much everything to stop the containment. To contain it in certain areas, and it's just You really wish they could have, gotten a win against England to, boost some morale. But yeah, that's just how it's gonna be when you draw England in the first in the first knockout round. That's rough. Yeah, just a tough draw for DR Congo. But what wasn't a tough draw what was a tough draw for both teams was Belgium versus Senegal. Now, 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 Senegal and Belgium are roughly at the same level of play. Not a lot of people were, thinking of mentioning that beforehand, but when I saw this, I was like, oh, maybe we don't have to face Belgium potentially. Like, that would be nice. We don't have to get revenge for Tim Howard, especially since, we played Senegal and they had an offensive onslaught. Like, they have the things to overpower Belgium. They have the players that are from big leagues. And, in the first, 80, 80 some minutes, they clearly showed that. They scored 2 goals, and everyone was like, oh shit, is Belgium just about to get routed? I mean, just look at that. Look at that. Don't look at this. Look at this. 1.83 to 0.16. Belgium was getting dog walked. Absolutely dog walked. And a game that, under any normal circumstance, under what people would have expected, should not have been close to happening. Senegal was playing like the better team. And we go in the second half and it's a little more even, but it's like, okay, you get the goal. Surely you're able to, I don't know, hold on to it. But the substitution of Romelu Lukaku at halftime, I have no clue why this guy wasn't starting. I know in the last World Cup he, brought a reputation of offside man once again, but I don't understand why that guy was on. Poor guy getting a fucking yellow card. Senegal makes some subs, but then they massive defensive mode in the very, 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 very late portion of the match. You can actually see it where they, have a little momentum here. Obviously, it kind of has a little momentum in here, but like they were able to flip it, and it's like, oh god, you can actually flip this. That's cool. But then they just let off the fucking gas, and that was it. That they gave up 2 goals, and then they gave up 2 goals, and then even if we go into extra time, it was still somewhat even. Now it was a little more in Belgium's favor, but then Senegal just kind of gives up a penalty. Controversial or not, it went through, and in the 125th minute, Tillmans just smacks it home, and this time Senegal is not able to benefit from a missed penalty. And the real champions of Africa go out in the round of 32 to Belgium, which, for Belgium, this is a thank goodness we have made it out of there, but you just feel like for Belgium, you got massively outplayed by Senegal. Like, that surely is going to have to be a wake-up call for them to, get shit going, or else it's just not. You're just not going to survive long with how that was. And, it just. I just feel sad for Senegal. Wait, they get to play in Lumen Field again? Are you kidding me? But, it's just like. It's a missed opportunity for African football, African soccer to, get the big result that they need. Not necessarily picking off like smaller European teams or Morocco, beating a shambolic Netherlands team. It's, a country that isn't at the top, the team that did actually win the African Cup of Nations, beating Belgium and beating the shit out of them. That would have been a great revelation, but instead it just fell apart for them. Yeah. That I just feel so bad for Senegal fans. Like, you come all the way over here, you have a somewhat decent time, in the group stage, despite having pretty much a death run. You get through on third place. You play the best game of your life against Belgium, and you just fall apart. Like, I feel for them. But Belgium's next opponent will be the Freedom Merchants of the US of A. Now, going into this game, literally every American fan was scared. Why are we scared? We don't beat European teams. It's been before the last World Cup since we had beaten a European opponent. Even if it is just Bosnia, they still have the UEFA logo in front of them, or a UEFA tag in front of them. So no matter how rank 64 they are in the world, it's like, fuck, they're a European team. That's because remember the only knockout win that the United States has ever had was in the 2002 World Cup where we beat Mexico. Obviously, it's a pretty funny draw to have Mexico in as our fucking matchup. So fuck you, get wrecked, Mexico. Huh? That, funnily enough, is the only matchup between the two of us in the World Cup. But hey, whatever, it's fine. So going into this game, we're like, okay, let's please just don't play scared. And they certainly did not play scared. Balogun gets a goal in the 45th minute. A decent ball there, and but then it almost kind of fucks up right after Dzeko gets injured. And a couple minutes later, Balogun kind of goes down on some dude's ankle, and it isn't called on the field. It's like, okay, well, that happens, but the ball was kind of running away. He's not really intentionally doing it. And then VAR tells the ref to go there. Now, I can't blame the ref for calling it on the video board, because most refs would do that. I blame VAR for telling him to come over there and not giving him the full context, because in this day and age, we have the ability to see what the fuck the VAR board is telling the referee. Not necessarily with words, but with actions. And the only thing that they showed was a very marginalized 2-second clip instead of the full motion where it's a yellow. I mean, I would have understood a yellow, but like a red? A red in a pivotal moment for an attacker to get a red like that. A straight red. Mind you, we have not had a fucking yellow card this entire game. Bosnia is trying to, beat the shit out of us. That's the first card. A red card for an attacker kind of just accidentally going down on the leg. Messi didn't even get a fucking foul caught on him. What the hell, on that same exact play, what the hell is Balogun getting sent off for? I like the way that he handled it, but like, I wouldn't have been surprised if he just blown the fuck up. Saying shit to the ref. I wouldn't have been surprised. It would have gotten him an extra couple of games, but like, what? How does this happen? But Bosnia is like, then it's like, oh shit, Bosnia now has like a man advantage for the rest of the game. That's not good. And then nothing really happens. Tillman kind of just scores an amazing free kick, and we finally make some subs afterwards. But Bosnia was just not there. I mean, they had a little more offensive attack in the second half, but they had the ball. They just didn't do enough with it, and it kind of just felt like they were okay with losing, and like what are we doing here? you made the knockouts, but you also did nothing, and you got pantsed by the U.S. of A. Mauled to death by the U.S. of A. Even after they get a fucking red card. So Balogun is missing the next match against Belgium, which is sad. But if we win, we'll see him in the quarters, I guess. But we still have to beat Belgium. Just it's a win. It's our first knockout win since '02. But like, I just I would have rather not had that red card. Please, a yellow was fine, but red. Thank you, weather. Red, 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 red. I mean, just look at that fucking momentum graph. Yeah, there's like a little momentum over here, but woo, here's the goal. Like, they just didn't do shit with their momentum. It was just bad. It was just bad for Bosnia. Speaking of bad, Austria. While I understand it's Spain, and it's Spain without all the injuries to their wingers, but holy hell, man! When I watched some like snippets of it, it just felt like Austria looked lost even with the ball. Like, what is this? 0.32 xg in a full match? You barely even tried to go for it in the second half. Like, 24th in the world should be doing way better against Spain than what I would think it would be. Good job on Spain. Getting past the round of 32. It's certainly better than Germany. You just would think that Austria, getting in as a second place team, honestly, it's a harder opponent for second place, but that was the only place they could go for. It's just like, okay. Yeah. Everyone, when they got into that final match, it's like, okay, let's just get a draw out of this and move on. But then you just get Spain, and then you just keel over and just act like you didn't even want to be there. I mean, just look at those amazing match ratings for Gregory and Warner. Like, what on earth are you lads doing? It was mostly on the attack. If the attack is just doing nothing, then what the fuck is the defense supposed to do? Obviously, it's just business as usual for Spain. Austria is just bad. But Spain will now be facing. This is another one of those rough draws. 5 versus 11. The perpetual team that's kind of always there in this recent age versus, the team that made it pretty far last time. Yeah. How do I go about this? So Croatia scores a decent ball here. Ronaldo gets a goal that's called offside. That there really isn't a whole lot there. And then Ronaldo is able to score his first ever World Cup knockout goal. And it's like, okay, well, he got it through a penalty. Of course it's a fucking penalty. Of course it was. But then, Croatia gets their own goal disallowed due to offside. It's like, okay, well, that happens, I guess. And then, Portugal is able to finally get a goal from Gonçalo Ramos. Good job, boys. You did it. You subbed off Ronaldo. Everyone thought that was easy, but hey, you know what? One of your other subs did something, so good job, I guess. I don't know. Well, then it gets to the 90 plus 13th. Yes, there were 10 minutes to stoppage time. Did you know that Bosnia U.S. game had 10 minutes? Yeah, no one remembered that. It gets to the 13th minute, and it's set piece, I think. Yeah, set piece. And it kind of just goes right to someone's foot. Like right off of a Portuguese player's back into someone's foot. and then it kind of just ricochets over to another Croatian player, and he scores. There's absolute scenes, absolute limbs everywhere for Croatia. It's just like, oh wow, we actually fucking like tied it. We're gonna head to extras. Like hell yeah. But then VAR comes in and says, we have this new technology from cricket, and it says that one of the air molecules around one of the player that was like going for the header, but it didn't like affect the trajectory of it. Yeah, that player touched it with the air molecules around him, also known as his hair. And that certainly has created a shitstorm nonetheless. Now, for me, if it wasn't for that technology, obviously the fact that the ball doesn't rotate, it makes it so that, oh, well, he just clearly didn't touch it. But it's the fact that he got so close to it that we would still be having discussions about it. It wouldn't be as bad, but we would still have discussions, obviously pending on what the result is afterwards, like if Croatia wins or if Portugal still wins in extra time or penalties or whatever. Like we would still be having discussions, but definitely not to the level. And basically with the same thing as water breaks, this kind of technology will not be used. This kind of stuff will not be used outside of the World Cup because it is so high tech. And, leagues like the Premier League or Champions League are just not going to spend the money on that. So you're only ever going to deal with it during this tournament. And it is very unfortunate, but if we want to get the objective correct call on shit like offsides, which is something that is clear and to the point, it is something that we know it is the only thing outside of ball in the net that it is set in the rules, and by that definition, he was just barely offside by a couple strands of hair. And that really is unfortunate. It would have definitely stood under other technology, but with the technology we have, it's definitely going to be an overuse of it. And unfortunately, that's just how it's going to be. It's going to be very helpful in other things, like with slight handball touches. That maybe the rotation of the ball isn't necessarily, very helpful in that. But you have the peaks of it. It's just very unfortunate because Croatia definitely were in this game. Maybe not as much as some would to be expected, but that second half was definitely a very even affair, and it just sucks for Croatia. It sucks this draw, especially when you have shit like South Africa and Canada. But I mean, it's just you got to play the games. That the World Cup is cruel and unforgiving. It does not reset due to FIFA rankings. It just does it how it is, and you feel bad for Croatia. But I mean, we all knew why they're definitely gonna try and shoehorn this in. I mean, obviously we know it's gonna be Ronaldo, Messi, and whatever the semis. I don't remember. Whatever round it is, they're going to be trying to shoehorn that. Now, obviously, they got to go against Spain, which, I mean, that's a rough draw for both of them in the round of 16, but you play to win the game, I guess. You play to win the game. So was Croatia used as a... I don't remember if they were a pot one. Whatever the case, they are almost certainly a pot one next time, but... speaking of teams in that Argentina quadrant of confusion, Switzerland and Algeria. Now, this is another example of you just really feel like African soccer, football. Like they got all these teams in there, and just all of them are falling apart. Now, where? Oh, no, never mind. Like, it just doesn't, like, Asia fell apart in the group stage, and it's seeming like Africa is just falling apart, like, right now, and it's just like, uh, it's not. It's not fun, Switzerland gets 2 goals, they win. I mean, that was kind of the expected result, but it's like you just wish that they played better, man. Algeria plays better ball than what they showed against Switzerland. I don't. I have no clue whatever this 4-3-3 was doing. It just wasn't working against the 4-2-3-1. Um, like if we look at the second half, they significantly died more in that. They were just absolutely suffocated by Switzerland, which is not really what you want to see. You know, for something like that, but yeah, it just suffocated pretty easily, and yeah, that Algeria will probably be back, but you know, you had an even opportunity. Like you just had an even opportunity somewhat, and that's just not gonna be that's not fun. For Switzerland, I mean, you don't got a whole lot in front of you other than the inevitable death of Argentina, but whatever. You play the game. You play your cards, I guess. And the upcoming match featured two very interesting teams. Now, relatively FIFA rankings, they're roughly the same, and for both, from an outside perspective, both of them were pretty even, and that definitely showed in the fact that we did make it to penalties. Egypt got a goal in the first half. Good old cross, I guess. But then Australia gets a fucking own goal in their way. This is this dude's second own goal of the tournament. He is the second ever player to get multiple own goals, which I mean that's a way to put yourself in the record books. I mean, it was probably gonna go in anyways. That's how most own goals are these days. Unless it's like that Turkey one in the Euros, but nothing really happens here. They for some reason decided to sub off Aaron Kunda for some. Australia still just does not know what they're doing with their roster and all. But then all of this nonsense, nothing, just nothing happens at all. Egypt was definitely the more controlling one, but Australia piled on at least a little bit of pressure. You would have really thought that Egypt would have scored in the second half with that kind of bullshit, but nope. They scored in the first and just did a whole lot of nothing. I mean, you just see like the momentum graph, like what the fuck happened here? So confusing to me, but then we get to penalties. Whiff, and it just doesn't matter. Egypt just makes all four. Some of those penalties were just not good. The decision to substitute on Matt Ryan was just not a good idea. Australia, I know you wanted to get like the Oro moment, like you did in qualifying for 2022, where you subbed on a dude for the AFC CONMEBOL playoff qualifier or whatever. Like the aura that you got from that, and it's just like. That doesn't work all the time, dude. That just doesn't work all the time. And yeah, he was telegraphing pretty much everything. And yeah, Australia was the last Asian team in there. And they bow out in the round of 32 to the second African team to make it to the round of 16. I'm just going to tell you now, it is the only other African team to do it, very sadly. Yeah, it's just, Australia's going to have a lot of questions after this. Obviously, they still should qualify for the next World Cup, but yeah, I feel like you just got to do a little better with the lineup with the guys that you have out there. Like, figure out how to keep all these guys out there on at the same time. Figure it out. Maybe yeet some more players into the United States or something. The MLS is getting better, and yeah. For the next match, for the next match, it was built up to be a game that was going to be cinema because of the implication. You get the reigning world champions of Argentina going up against a team that drew two former World Cup champions in Spain and Uruguay. Now there's like two separate, things, Spain and Uruguay. But they were also able to, then draw Saudi Arabia to get themselves into second place. And Argentina kind of went into this game thinking, okay, well, we should beat them by a good amount. I mean, again, they are that number in the world. And you're just like, okay, you should be able to beat them. I get they have, like, this god tier goalkeeper, but, like, you should still be able to beat them. And obviously, when they go up 1-0 in the first half, it's just like, okay, well, Messi is, he scored a goal. Good job. What now? Just gonna put on some more. I mean, in the first half, there basically was just not a whole lot from either team. But then that second half, there still wasn't a whole lot from Cape Verde or Argentina. But Argentina was not able to suppress the Cape Verdean attack as they score. I don't know how they scored. They just scored somehow, like aura moment or something, and we just get to extras. Like, what? How did we get to extras? But then Argentina scores in the 92nd minute. It's just like, man, we could have a lot more cinema with this. Why can't we just get the penalties? Very boring of Argentina, but like whatever. You know what? It was a good effort from Cape Verde. Holy shit! Is that another goal? Yeah, they got another goal. A really, really great curler, like absolutely great curler. You would never expect that to come from a country that has never made the World Cup before, but. My goodness. But then, it was then ruined with the goal that was originally counted as not an own goal, but it became one. It deflected off of a dude's arm. It deflected off this dude's arm. And, like, while Cape Verde definitely was trying to go for it, and they definitely had all the momentum, it just wasn't enough. And, unfortunately, Argentina is moving on, while Cape Verde will have to. They got 4 draws in this tournament. They still haven't lost in regular time. They still haven't lost. It took 111 minutes for Argentina to pass through them. Even then, they were still fucking scared. And like Messi just couldn't get a free kick past him. Like, I don't think you see a goalkeeper give up 3 goals and he's been given a 7.4. Like, the team, it's just, you just feel for Cape Verde. They probably, with the talent that they're going to be getting after this World Cup, they should be coming back for 2030. Give it another round. And it was just so fun to watch them. Like, it wasn't just, packed in defensive soccer. It was, on occasion, explosive. Like, actual attacking talent. Again, they drew Uruguay 2-2. It wasn't like they couldn't offense. It's just, they felt more comfortable trying to, pack it in on defense. And when they had to score, they scored. It's just, for the final one, they just didn't have enough time. And it's sad, like, I hope they come back for 2030. Like, it will be absolutely cinema for them to come back in 2030. I mean, the World Cup in 2030 is like Spain, Portugal, and Morocco, and like Cape Verde is like right there. Like, they'll definitely have a lot more fans when it comes to the next World Cup. So, yeah, if they get there, I think they will be doing much better. I think they win a knockout match next time around. It's just really unfortunate that they were drawn against Argentina. If they drew, I want to say if they drew literally any other team, because they wouldn't have been able to draw Spain. If they drew someone like England, they would have beat them. I mean, flat honest, they would have. This ranking is a disservice, and they should be put up to like 30th minimum. Like, this was an exemplary effort from them, and I hope they don't back down. But that was not the final match. Of course, people kind of forget that there was another match. And it's for an African team that is actually lower than fucking Cape Verde. Yes, there are nations lower in FIFA ranking than Cape Verde, and that was Ghana. And Ghana somehow made the knockouts. They were actually guaranteed even before the the final fucking day or whatever, due to some odd math or whatever. And then they draw Colombia, and it's like, okay, maybe we can do something. Argent Colombia picks up an injury in the 8th minute, but then they pick up an injury in the 13th. So, like limbs everywhere, but then they score in the 14th minute. And then, I mean, it just allowed goal there because I think that was offside. Colombia didn't have to do much to impose themselves. They're probably kicking themselves, thinking that they probably should have scored more than one goal. But yeah, Ghana's entire struggles this entire tournament has been offense. Apparently they've only had like 4 combined shots on target, and they've scored 2 of them, which, I mean, hella efficiency, but like 4 shots on target? 4? Bruh. Bruh, that just doesn't make sense to me. And yeah, Ghana just can't perform in the continental game. They always make the World Cup somehow, so their FIFA ranking will be perpetually terrible until they actually start performing continental wise. But yeah, as for Colombia, well, you made it. You won the game that you were expected to win. So good job, proud of you. Not really much else to say. It wasn't really an imposing win, just a win. Good job. But now we have the rest of not the rest, but the actual round of 16 matches. So because Germany was not able to win, we do not get a France v Germany World War III recap. Instead, we get France versus Paraguay, which it's only Paraguay, guys. It was only Paraguay. It was only Paraguay. Yeah, that's all I have to say to the people that thought our group was easy. Well, fuck you. Fuck you. Paraguay looked much better. None of our teams lost in regular time. Anyway, but then the next match is Canada versus Morocco. Again, Canada is not going to benefit from a home match, but they will at least benefit from being a little closer, I think. I don't know. I guess Canada is going to be solace in the fact that they have more rest, and Netherlands and Morocco played 2 penalties, so Morocco is going to be a little more tired, which could give an advantage for Canada, but I don't know. I don't know if Canada is going to be able to actually excuse 28th, 29th. Not really a whole lot when you consider that they play on the 4th, but yeah. So we'll see. We'll see about that. I don't know if Canada actually does something, but it's a good thing they made it. It solidifies their spot here. Can you not out there? Then we have Portugal versus Spain, the Iberian Derby. This will just be a cinema match, just because it's Portugal v Spain. We don't really get that too often. This will probably start yet another war in that region of the world. Um, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Portugal wins and it's just like some bullshit because FIFA is trying to try trying to make Messi versus whatever happen. And yeah, okay, I was right. It would be in the finals in which they would have to face that. But then we have USA versus Belgium. This is a rematch, of course. Not long ago, Tim Howard produced the most saves in a World Cup against Belgium in the knockouts. The guy that got closest to was the Cape Verdean guy. So this time the U.S. is going to come back with an actual offense, but Belgium is also kind of better than what they were. So it'll be an interesting matchup when it comes to the sixth of whatever. They get a little more rest there, but whatever. But then it is Brazil v Norway, which I mean it's Vinicius Jr. versus Erling Haaland. We actually get that matchup because it's the knockouts. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how these teams played. They both kind of were in the round of 32, so we'll see. We'll see come the fifth if they actually do perform. And then it's Mexico versus England. Most people would say England, but as someone that would have seen Mexico's record at the Azteca, like Mexico has a very good chance of making it to either play Brazil or Norway. After that, they have to go with Miami, so I don't know if they actually make it that far. Because remember, the only knockout matches they've ever won was, there in Mexico. So, they got powers, and especially since England did not do well against DR Congo, it's just like I don't know. The fifth will be very interesting. The fifth will be very interesting for these two. And then in the final, the quadrant of easy over here, we have Argentina versus Egypt, which rough draw for Egypt after getting a relatively a neutral match over here in the round of 32. They get reigning champions Argentina. Now, obviously, Argentina is going to be a little more mentally exhausted after almost losing to a team that is the number in the world. So, and then what I think is like by far the most interesting matchup in the knockout rounds. In the round of 16 is Switzerland versus Colombia. These two teams don't necessarily get too much press from what I can tell. Like Egypt has like Mo Salah, Argentina's Argentina, Mexico, is one of the hosts. England is England. Brazil has all the funny talents. Norway has Erling Haaland. USA is the US of A. There's always interesting shit. Belgium is a giant of some sort. This is just the Iberian War. Morocco, who knows if they steamroll Canada or not. I mean, they had to go to penalties, so, fatigue or whatever. And then France versus anybody is just death. This is something of a more even matchup, and in fact, actually, Colombia has a higher FIFA ranking, and I will be very intrigued. I will definitely be there. Let's just say that I will definitely be there. Unfortunately, I don't have to watch on Fox, but I will definitely be there because it'll be a very interesting matchup between two teams that are actually somewhat even. Teams that probably do expect to be here, but now that they've drawn against each other, they're dreaming of more. Of potentially playing Argentina, Colombia. For Colombia, that would be a Copa America rematch. Like hell yeah, you get a shot at them. Just out of all of these, it's the more intriguing even matchup. to me. That isn't a literal war fest that's going to happen over there. So yeah, I'll be excited to see that. Where the hell is it? Right. Does it not? Oh no, that's the. Oh right, because that's the Canada one. Yeah, this would have been Canada. If Canada didn't fuck up, which kind of makes it funny because then they would have had a lot more rest than this match. But whatever. So yeah, that is my hour and 5 minute long talk about Jesus. That is a very long time to talk about this, but it's very necessary. The World Cup is. I can make this 2.5 hours long. I don't know. The round of 32 was very fun, and I hope when it comes to 2030 we'll get more cinema like that for a 48 team tournament. There's been a shit ton of games that I've played, and I do hope that the excitement continues. Whatever that entails, I really hope that we're able to watch it. And yeah, I guess that'll be it from moi. I'll see you guys after the round of 16, which is on the 7th ish. I don't know about the quarterfinals or whatever. I'm like on a trip or something during the quarters, so we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I'll see you guys then. Goodbye.